Well, after a long time, we are seeing a more infectious, more aggressively infectious virus. That means it's easily transmittable and it has a new structure on spike protein. Spike protein is the protein that coronavirus attaches itself to the human cells. And that is also what is targeted for immunity by vaccines and so on, and it's completely novel. So, if the body does see this virus, it may not recognize it and mount an immune response. And it seems to be rapidly increasing in infection rates across the world. It was first identified in September and is now expected to be probably the number one cause of COVID infections in North America and Europe. So it's just eventual that whatever is in other countries comes to India. Uh, so it's important that we recognize it, okay? And it's important that we take some basic precautions. Now, the virus itself does not seem to be as dangerous as we saw in the first and second waves with the Delta variants and the Alpha variants. Most of the reports are mild disease, little bit of body pain, sore throat, cough, that sort of thing. We're not seeing a lot of reports of pneumonia. However, there were two mortalities in Kerala in the last 24 hours, as well as one in Karnataka, I think on the 15th. Sorry, about 3 days ago. And we don't know whether those mortalities were of COVID itself or somebody with a serious illness developed COVID. But for the most part, and what we're seeing currently, most COVID is very mild and goes away quite easily. So, is there a cause concern? I think if you have um, comorbidities such as diabetes, bad lungs, heart disease, you're a cancer patient, take precautions. Avoid crowds. If you have to go in a more crowded or poorly ventilated area, wear a mask. Um, and take common sense precautions such as washing your hands and good sanitary practices. Compared to the variants in the past, this is an Omicron strain. So this has been the predominant strain since probably January, December of 2021, January 2022. The third wave was Omicron. At that time, the majority of Omicron was XBB. And corona is a virus which mutates. That means its genetic makeup changes very, very often and quite quickly. And so that's why you see these frequent changes and the new strains of COVID. And so over the time, it has gradually changed. It changes its protein coating, which is what the body recognizes when you have an immune reaction. Okay, so that's why we're having all of these issues. This time around, and most of Omicron, it is basically upper airway symptoms. That is cough, runny nose, a little bit of body pain, a little bit of fever. Those are the major ones. You could get some nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. That is less apparently with this strain. And we're not seeing a lot of COVID pneumonia. Uh, COVID pneumonia can happen, particularly if you are immunocompromised. So, say you're on cancer, a patient on immunotherapy or chemotherapy, or somebody with bad lungs or heart could potentially develop COVID pneumonia, but it's nothing like it was in the second wave or the first wave. We're just seeing very sporadic cases. And even abroad, where these patients are being reported, there's not a lot of reports of pneumonia, which is probably the most important thing that we need to be really worried about. Precautions to be taken for this strain of virus are probably more common sense. We've been doing this for the last 3.5 years. We all know what to do. Hand washing is very important. Um, So frequently wash your hands. Make sure if you touch your nose or mouth and you're sick, wash your hands. Particularly if you're sick, please don't go to work, don't go to school until you're better. Wear a mask. And if your symptoms are not better after a few days, get tested. Um, that is more of a precaution so that you don't give it to other people. That's very important. Now, if you've got persistent illness, go get tested for COVID. See the appropriate medical person that you need to see. And most of the time, just symptomatic treatment, paracetamol, antihistamines, cough syrup was enough. Um, Other precautions are if you do particularly have health issues, probably for the next month, not just COVID, we're seeing a lot of influenza, we're seeing a lot of other viral infections. Probably avoid crowded places like theaters or markets. Avoid poorly ventilated areas, especially if you do have other problems with your body. And if you absolutely have to go, wear a mask, particularly an N95 mask. Masks are generally very effective for any viral illness. It does cut down transmission. So for one person to give it another, if one person who's sick, especially, is wearing the mask, it does decrease. If both are wearing a mask, it decreases it further. Um, the government of Karnataka has just issued orders saying that people over the age of 60 and people with health conditions should wear a mask. So definitely it is effective in decreasing the transmission. Okay. I would prefer an N95 mask because that has the most smallest pores and it decreases the transmission the best among all of them. But at the end of the day, a surgical mask would be the second best. I would avoid cloth masks because they don't really work that well. We don't have any updated vaccines at this current point to protect. Some of the whole virus vaccines, such as Covaxin, perhaps could give some protection. But then, like I said, the problem right now is availability. We don't really have easy access to vaccines right now in India. I believe the government is working on it. And if you are able to get a vaccine, a booster may not be a bad idea at this point.